You know how we sometimes wish we could go into the future and see the way things turn out? Well, this video is a little bit like that. Today I'm going to share some of my thoughts on how I would have done things 30 years ago. So keep watching. And I've also got a guest on my channel today to give me some of her thoughts. Good morning, YouTube friends. I know we haven't chatted for a long time, but as you know, I've had my shoulder up and it's really set me back a bit, and it's been quite a difficult 3 weeks. So please forgive me for not uploading my normal videos weekly, and I'm very pleased to be back again today. And in another 3 weeks I'll have this off and I'll be back to full mobility. If anyone's joining us for the first time, my name is Rose and my channel is mostly about good mental health and being the best we can every day. Today I've got someone special visiting me who's agreed to come onto the channel with me and chat to you. She's my rock. She's the person I turn to in need. She's my sister. She's my friend. She looks out for me, sometimes in quite a bossy way, but apparently I'm told that just before my mum passed away, she asked Maureen to look after me, and she does sometimes take it to the end of that limit. But I'm very pleased and proud to have her here today. Welcome, Maur, to my channel.
Thanks, Rose. I'm really pleased. This is an absolute newbie for me, not something I'm used to, but it's lovely. Every day something new is obviously the way to go, and I'm thrilled to be here. And yes, I am a boss. Mommy said so.
Today we're going to look back at a few life events that took place when we were very much younger, possibly in our early 20s. And we're going to examine them and see how we would handle them differently today. I know that at my age now, I would definitely handle things differently to what I did as a 20-year-old. Maur, as a 20-year-old, what would you do differently, knowing what you know now?
I would do definitely I would do everything differently if I could do it over. But I do feel that that's a little bit of a pipe dream, because if I was 20, I would not be thinking with this 73-year-old head. So, but if your question is if I could have this thought pattern but be 20, yes, I would do a lot of things differently with the bringing up of my children. Shall I tell you one of my points?
Yes,
that I always think about? There's an old saying. I love sayings, and you'll see I bring them in every now and again. Even God only had 10 commandments. Why did we ever think a mom should have 110?
You're so right, yeah.
Pick just a few, but then enforce them. Not all day long. Feet off the couch. Don't touch the coffee table. Put that down. Don't walk around with a cup of water. There's just too many, and your voice becomes white noise.
And what about what we used to do to our children at the dinner table? You know, when I look back on that now, I've got these grown-up adult people in my life, my children, who eat the weirdest. They eat things that I wouldn't dream of eating. But around the dinner table, well, I think, haven't you had quite a bad experience with that?
A very bad experience, and it's actually something I'll always carry with me, and given half a chance, I do tell young moms, it was the old-fashioned way. We sat down at the table for supper. Mom served the veggies, the meat, the potatoes, whatever was for supper, and you ate it. You didn't have a choice, you had to eat it. And the children were pretty good. They all ate their vegetables. They ate most things. My middle son hated green beans. We forced him every time. Well, they weren't on the menu every single night, but every time they were on. Till one night, the poor thing, we left him at the table while we all got up to stay there and finish his green beans. Gross story, but he got sick. He was pushing so hard to swallow the green beans he never could, and he actually got sick. Moral of the story, he is in his 40s and he does not eat green beans. Why didn't I just leave him alone? He ate fruit, he ate carrots, he ate pumpkin, he had all the vitamins he needed. But something in my head said, I said you must eat green beans, so eat them.
But it's the time we lived in.
It is.
You know, but on the other side of it is I see children today just really decide, oh sorry, there's an aeroplane going over, I hope you can still hear us. I see children today decide exactly what they would like for dinner. I see mums and dads cooking 3 meals. Now, the other thing I'm sure we'll all agree is that we're all much busier today, especially younger working parents. For some reason life just seems to have got busier and busier. Have you really got time to come home and cook 3 different meals? So it's not all black and white, I know, but there's definitely a line there that you can look to working for you. Yes, don't leave him at the table until he vomits up his food, but put on a little bit of pressure that tonight Mom, Dad and we're going to eat the same meal. And we're all going to enjoy this little piece of fish, and you need to get to know different tastes. And it's just my opinion. And again, like Maureen did, maybe an old-fashioned opinion. But mine, nevertheless.
Another thing, Rose, that I'd change if I could do things over. Children were taught to be well behaved. They were taught, don't interrupt. And a common sentence was, hang on, the adults are talking. Truth of the matter is, the adults are always talking. These are little minds, little short-term memories. By the time the adults have finished talking, he or she has probably forgotten what they wanted to say to you. So yes, teach your children not to interrupt, but finish that sentence, and even to your guest say, sorry, excuse me a sec, what did you want to say? And let him say it, because they actually need a chance to have a little chance to get your attention.
And it might be important, eh?
To them, it's very important.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah.
Not to us, but very important to them. On what's important to children, I learned something years ago. I don't think it was in time to carry it out. Most of my kids were starting to get bigger, but it just struck a chord with me. When it's time to stop play and bath or get ready for bed, they're in the lounge, on the carpet, on the coffee table, colouring in, painting, building a block, little project. You appear in the lounge and say, pack up, and they'll cry or moan,
And we
or just-
wonder why.
or just not do it.
Yeah.
But actually, he was so engrossed in what he was doing, he or she, so engrossed in what they were doing, and it was important to him, like the conversation. You need to say 10, 15 minutes maybe, even beforehand. In 15 minutes, we're going to have to pack this up and get ready to bath. Acknowledge that what he's doing is a very important project to him.
We maybe sound like we're sitting here just recounting our mistakes, which in a way we are. But I would rather this be listened to by young mums and dads. And I really, if you are listening, just, I know, you're going to say, no, look, hang on, we do it our way, Yes, you will do it your way. But if you just take a little smidgen of this old wisdom from two people who've done it, 5 children and 3, and we're sitting here telling you what our mistakes were. Don't make them. You don't have to make them. Why? You've just been told they're mistakes. So don't make our mistakes. You know, another thing that I would do that I think is almost like right up there on top of my list, I would play with my children more. I was so busy being a good wife and a good housekeeper, and in the days when I didn't work and I stayed home and my husband would be expected home after work, I got things going before he was due to come home. Toys came up, they got bathed, so there was no bath thing going on. He didn't even know that they had got washed ever, I don't think.
No evidence of dirty, sticky, messy children.
No evidence of dirt anywhere. And and then in he came. Yes, sure. I know what you're thinking. He'd been working all day. But you know what? What would the harm have been in a few toys lying around? They were still playing. Maybe we were still playing. What would the harm have been of having dinner at 7 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock? Because the children and I were busy building a puzzle. I was so conscious of what people thought of me and my home in those days, as we probably all are at that age. And I'm not like that anymore. I love a pretty home. We all do. And I like it to be tidy, and I keep it tidy. But if somebody arrives to have a coffee with me when it's untidy, I don't feel less of a person because of it. And that's how I felt as that young mum, that young wife, who was trying to tick all the boxes. You don't have to tick all the boxes. Keep your home as it makes you happy. Treat your children how it makes you happy. When you put them into bed at night, you know you've played with them that day. So do it your way, not what you think is expected of you.
I agree with that, Rose, 100%. Mostly, I don't think that is so much for me. And at child rearing, as just in a younger female and an older female, I have to admit, I don't think I've got as good a handle on that as my sister has. I try constantly. We all learn these life lessons, not to worry about what other people think. I think if it's in your personality, it's in, and it's quite hard to get rid of. If my house were a little bit messy, or I was late in making the bed, I would have a blooming fit if somebody arrived unannounced. So even now that I'm older. So sometimes that's a little bit ingrained in us, but I do agree that it's something that we should work on. It doesn't really matter what they think.
It's a good point though that you made, that I sort of went, be you, be whatever, you know, and you said, no, we can't all be that person.
No,
that's a good point.
I actually am being me.
You are being
And
you,
I'm
and you,
the
it is
person
you.
who worries a little bit about what other people think.
Yeah. You see how nice it is having someone else sitting here next to me telling me when I talk rubbish.
Which is most of the time.
If I was given the chance to go back to those days, I would try to be a nicer wife. I don't think I was very easy to live with. You know, it's all about us, isn't it, in those days? You know, if my husband had more than 3 outings a week, it was like, well, what am I going to do? You know, that just leaves me out in the cold. That's me and the kids. And it caused a lot of arguments. Today, I feel so more self-sufficient. I'd be doing whatever interests me. But as a young person, I was just totally needy and wanted my husband to be around me all the time. Now, I don't know, perhaps you can leave some suggestions in the comments box on this one. I don't know actually what the answer is to this. Do you know?
I don't know the
Oh,
answer.
sage of knowing everything.
I don't know the answer. I do know. I wonder if this is going well because I'm about to disagree with her again. You can leave that comment below as well. When I think about it, when you're young, you are more dependent. And we were young. So we've got this, once again, this pipe dream of being 20 with a 70-year-old head. And yes, we were needy. I agree with that.
So you were also needy?
Yes. I remember if my husband went out on a boys' night, it meant it was my turn next. He had to stay at home and babysit while I went out because, well, you had your turn. So it was my turn next. That was ridiculous, but it was obviously youth. And just in our defense, it's very difficult to be independent, to do your pottery, your art, your hobbies with 4 little people hanging on your coattails. When he, for example, went to play golf for the day, you couldn't just take your art and sit in a deck chair at the beach and paint.
No.
You were left at home with 3 people to look after. I was left at home with 4 at that stage, people to look after. It was a little difficult to be independent.
And actually, as I remember it, I didn't have 10 cents to buy an art canvas,
No.
never mind start a painting.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, so are we gonna actually let ourselves off the hook, mate one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we weren't
Delete.
we weren't needy. We were in difficult situations. So having spoken about the things that we would do differently if we were in our 20s now, it's all actually water under the bridge.
It is, Rose, indeed, all water under the bridge, and a lot of things we can't change. But as Rose said at the beginning of this video, just a little bit of advice from an older head. I sometimes wish somebody had said to me, try this, try that, but our friends were also battling along with us, with a handful of kids, etc. So just 2 parting things actually. As much as we've said play with your kids, and it doesn't matter if the toys are on the floor when he comes home, these kids do, that must be acceptable. But eventually it is bedtime. It is bath, jammies, and into bed. There's got to be some mom and dad time. In the beginning, it was just the 2 of you, and then the children came along. It's got to be a little place where you go back to the beginning, where you can tell him what happened today, and he can tell you what happened today, uninterrupted. And a biggie is date night. We didn't have date night. I don't recall anybody, not that I didn't want date night, it was never suggested. But I hear it a lot nowadays, which is great on the young people. Have date night, and the golden rule. Talk about anything besides the kids. This is your time, you to him, and him to you. And actually imparting is just something I wanted to say. We've spoken a lot about the moms and the kids, and what we did wrong and what we did right, and water under the bridge. But you know what? I was 19 when I got married. A lot of those dads and the ones out there now, they're also 19. It's not just all about mom. He's also battling sometimes. You're also going to make mistakes, so maybe just a little bit of leeway. Probably also doing the best he can. The oldest, another saying from me, parenting is the most difficult job in the world, and the only one for which you get no training.
So true, eh? We just got
We
thrown in
can
there.
do any profession. We cannot do any profession
No.
without studying it for a couple of years, passing,
Yeah.
and getting a diploma. But you want to be a mom? Here you go, have a baby. So, and then we just bundle along as best we can. But as Rose said, we're blessed We've got beautiful children. They're all adults. Children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. So we must have done something right.
Yeah. And the reason for us putting this video together is, as I think Moore said a little earlier, it's not criticism at all. It's just when Maury and I sit and we talk sometimes and we say, remember when we did that? If only we had done that differently. Well, this is what we're sharing with you. That's all it is. It's not criticism. It's us saying, don't do what we did. Do it the easier way. Do it the better way.
Well, you can do it once because you're entitled to make a mistake once. Do it, recognize it, and say, I'm not doing that again.
More, thanks so much.
Love
Oh,
you
she
much.
just squeezed my sore shoulder.
So sorry. Thank you for having me. It was lovely.
Oh, yeah, and I loved having you on. And guys, if you haven't subscribed, please do. I'm going to have lots of interesting guests on my channel from now onwards, because I've realized just me is boring. I thought I was enough. Obviously, I'm not.
Lots of interesting guests. After me, it's going to be a really hard act to
It's going
follow.
to be downhill all the way. Eh? Okay, guys, love you. Big hugs. Bye for now.